Now, a lot of people are saying that this prophecy lines up so that the final pope, Peter the Roman, is none other than Howdy, y'all. I'm Brylan. Pope Francis's funeral date announced by the Vatican as first images of his body are released. And here's the very first image of him laid to rest in a coffin that he specifically requested that it be made out of wood and not be, have all the pomp and stuff like that. Although they pumped it up a little bit. You saw that red velvet. I think it still looks pretty nice. Now, I did a video yesterday reacting to the first initial reports of his death. My video is called What They Won't Tell You About the Death of Pope Francis. I show you who the next potential pope could be and how it should terrify you if you're a Catholic. And, this video probably upset a lot of mainstream media and a lot of Catholics. But the truth is the truth. Now making its rounds, once again, is the prophecy of the popes. This is a prophecy that dates back to the 1500s. And you're seeing the mainstream media circulate this again. A lot of Catholics are talking about this prophecy again. And in this video, I want to go over this prophecy and how it eerily lines up to things that are happening, but also, spoiler alert, at the end, I reveal the answer definitively and prove whether it's true or not. Real quick, would you mind hitting that thumbs up button? When you like this video, you're not agreeing with the insanity. You're helping push it out to more people to help spread the truth. The Prophecy of the Popes, a 900-year-old prescient manuscript, is believed by some to predict the next pontiff and the end of the world. The Prophecy of the Popes is a series of cryptic Latin phrases in the document that have been interpreted as describing the lineup of church leaders starting with Celestine II in 1143 and ending with Peter the Roman in the year 2027. That's coming up. Now, this was a prophecy given by Saint Malachy. See, I knew it. The whole thing's a bunch of malarkey. Saint Malachy's prophecy of the popes. Again, this was a prophecy that was said to have that he made in the year 1148. However, it wasn't published until the year 1595, and it was actually rediscovered in 1590. Now, when he originally made this prophecy, the year was 1148, and he brought it to one of his superiors. And his superior, I kind of flipped out and went and hid the prophecy in the archives. It sat for over 400 years, never to be seen again until 1590, where they found it, read over it, went, oh dang, this is kind of matching up. And then in the year 1595, officially published it. So St. Malachy was an Irish bishop in the 12th century, the first native-born Irishman to be canonized. He is known in the Roman Catholic Church for his work as a healer, a miracle worker, and as a reformer of the church in Ireland. But what he is most known for today is prophecy. St. Malachy was summoned to Rome in 1139 by Pope Innocent II, and while there, he experienced a vision of future popes, which he then recorded as a series of short phrases. This transcript was then placed in the Vatican's secret archives, where it lay until 1590. The list stretches all the way from the time of St. Malachy to the present, describing, among many others, Pope John Paul II, Benedict, and finally, Pope Francis. In many ways, these descriptions were uncannily accurate, and so have led to hundreds of years of speculation that this prophecy might just be real. But the real draw of the prophecy of the popes is the cataclysm predicted at the end. The idea that the current pope may be the last before that disaster occurs. Now, what's supposed to happen is that at the end of time, the very last pope will be Petrus Romanus, or Peter the Roman. It says, in recent times, some interpreters of prophetic literature have drawn attention to the prophecies due to their imminent conclusion. If the list of descriptions is matched on a one-to-one basis to the list of historic popes since the prophecy's publication, then Benedict from 2005 to 2013 would correspond to the second to last of the papal descriptions. Gloria Olivae, the glory of the olive, the longest and final prophecy predicts the apocalypse. Here's what it says right here, and its translation into English is, in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit a bishop, Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations, and when these things are finished, the city of 7 hills, Rome, will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. The end. Now, this is said to correspond with the year 2027. Now, many people, in fact, there's been books written about this prophecy, correlate this the final pope being Pope Francis. Now, Pope Francis is no longer with us. So a lot of people are saying that it basically means that the end of the world is now. However, the prophecy lines up to be around the year 2027. Obviously, it's not 2027 yet. So they're having to kind of finagle their way into making Peter the Roman as the next pope after Pope Francis. So here's a list with the prophecy predicting every pope since 1903. Again, this was a part of Saint Malachy's Saint Malachy, his prophecy. This is the last 10 popes. So in 1903, it was Pope Pius. It says, burning fire. This pope showed a burning passion for spiritual renewal in the church. You know, it's this type of like prophetic mottos that are supposed to predict the popes of these eras, like burning desire. And they correlate it to Pius because he had a burning passion for spiritual renewal. You know, it's just, it gets to a point where you feel kind of silly, you know, reading all these mottos and the prophecies, and you go, yeah, you're stretching it. Pope Pius from 1922 to 1939. Unshaken faith is the motto. And the description is established Vatican City as a sovereign country with the papal office as head of state. This was a very tactical move by the Catholic Church. It essentially makes the Pope the king of his own country and protects them from any outside laws. So whatever happens in Vatican City stays in Vatican City. And somehow him making a sovereign country so that the Pope can be king fits the motto, unshakable faith. And then this is where it's said to have been Petrus Romanus, 2013 until blah, blah, blah. Well, we know it as 2025 for Pope Francis. Peter the Roman, who will nourish the sheep in many tribulations. When they are finished, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. The end. So again, it's said that Pope Francis was supposed to be Peter the Roman. However, they're kind of finagling it now to say that this next pope, the one after Pope Francis, is the end the end of all. And they'll even say that it corresponds with Nostradamus. His famous prophecy is going to be a very specific person. It says that Nostradamus used the alignment of the stars to make his prediction for the future, and he made many disturbing prophecies, which is now being claimed included the death of Pope Francis. He said that a very old pope would die and that the Catholic Church would be weakened. The astrologer wrote, through the death of a very old pontiff, a Roman of good age will be elected. Of him it will be said that he weakens his seat. But long will he sit in a mordant activity. And then he went on to finish his prophecy by saying that a young man of dark skin, with the help of the great king, will deliver the purse to another of red color. Now, a lot of people are saying that this prophecy lines up so that the final pope, Peter the Roman, is none other than Cardinal Peter Turkson. However, there's many glaring issues here. He's not Roman. But I guess there's a way to finagle out of that one too. I mean, it doesn't actually mean that he's a Roman. But he misses the key points of the prophecy. But the closest you're going to get to the cardinals that fit this description of the prophecy as being the last pope, entering 2027, which is going to be the end of the world, is Pietro Parolin. He was born in Chiavan, Italy. Again, a lot of people would say, technically. Now, what's interesting, though, about Pietro Parolin is that he actually holds the greatest chance, at least right now. He's like the most favored to be the next pope. And, well, he's Italian. He did go to study canon law at Gregorian University in Rome. So, could he be Peter the Roman? Technically. I would love to know your thoughts about all this in the comment section below, by the way. But again, when we see every time a new pope it either dies or, I guess, steps down, resigns, this has to be a sign of something horrible coming. And usually what happens is they elect a new pope and the world goes on. Now, we are becoming more degenerate. That's a given. But here's an article from over 10 years ago. In fact, 12 years ago to be exact. In 2013, what is the prophecy of Saint Malachy? Some say Pope Francis's election signals the end of the world. Is it the vision of the 12th century saint or a work of a false prophet? So they went through all of this with Pope Francis. Now, this is all being drummed back up today as Pope Francis dies and a new pope is being selected. It has to be this pope that it's talking about. And then it's going to be the next pope and the next pope. And as the years go on and time passes, there's always going to be a reason why it's the end of the world. Humanity loves stuff like this. However, look at what the Bible says. This is the definitive answer on whether that prophecy is actually true or not. This is Matthew chapter 7. Look at verse 15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. There have been and there will be false prophets who come looking like they are legitimate believers. And you see this everywhere in the Catholic Church. These are wolves in sheep's clothing. And it says that you will recognize them by their fruits. But not just being aware and of false prophets, but also the Bible is very, very clear. You can see in 1 Thessalonians 5, look at verse 2. For you yourselves are fully aware that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. And not only will the coming of the Lord be like a thief in the night, but Jesus says this in Matthew chapter 24. Look at verse 36. But concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father only. And again, look what Jesus says in verse 44. Therefore, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. We do not know the time or the day, the hour, the minute, the second, the year, whatever it might be, of the Lord's return. We cannot predict it. We cannot look to the stars or look to man or try to conjure up some magical ability or spiritual insight into the coming of the Lord. It will happen at a time that you don't expect, that you don't know, and it will happen like a thief in the night. The prophecy of the popes is not a legitimate prophecy. Prophecy in the Bible isn't like you can get some things right and some things wrong, and if you're just right like most of the time or just even like most of some of the time, then hey, you know what? You're a prophet. No, there are many glaring issues with Malachy's prophecy, and the fact that this prophecy claims to know the exact time, the exact year of the end of the world is a sign in and of itself that it is not legitimate. So don't fall for these prophecies. This isn't telling you when the end of the world is going to come. Scripture clearly refutes it, and we cannot and do not know the time or the hour of the Lord's return. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, join this community. I would love to hear from you on a regular basis. And please, hit that thumbs up button. You know, when you like this video, it'll get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. All right, I'll see you in the next video.